Hello, welcome to my channel. My StealthGTI is 4 years old. Today I'm going to share some developments and maintenance that I've done in the past year. Welcome back and thanks for being here. At this time last year I was at 93,000 miles and shared a list of wear and tear items that needed attention. I hit the 100,000 mile mark just 4 months later. I had said that I was on track to reach 150,000 miles by the time the car turned 5 years old. But then 2020 happened. I went from commuting 70 miles a day to having no commute at all. Working from home is convenient, but I'm getting less seat time in the GTI too. Last year, 8 months would have added 15,000 miles to the odometer, but I've driven just 6,000 miles since March. That's a good thing when it comes to saving fuel costs, wear and tear, and having the car last a little longer, but it makes for slow content since I love the drive. I've managed to add some things to the car since last year, namely a large ham radio antenna that's not usually on the car because I got to stay stealth, and a sweet turbo back exhaust by Bond Performance. Check out my Bond video, I think you'll like it. As for new wear and tear, the only thing I can report is 2 new scratches on the hood. I'm not sure what hit me, but it was sort of large and made a terrible sound on impact. Oddly enough, I think it'll buff out. I mean, we like to jokingly say that every time we see somebody else's car get creamed in an accident. We say that about everything. But I really think that this will polish clean. I also, just 2 days ago, hit a bucket in the road in the dark. The wind had blown it right in front of me. And I've got some new buff marks in my bumper, but I think those are going to buff out too. The dent in the hood that I showed you last time is long gone thanks to a paintless dent wizard. Something I get asked a lot is whether my intake valves, if I've had them cleaned. My mechanic had always recommended against cleaning the intake valves until the car suffers a cold start misfire. It's just not financially necessary until then. My car hadn't shown a single problem, but I'm about to take it on a 7,000 mile road trip, and I don't want to be at risk of being away from my local region if the car starts to have trouble in the intake. My mechanic was happy to schedule a cleaning. Much to my surprise, the valves didn't look terrible at all, even after 106,000 miles. Sure, there's some gunk at the top of the valve stems, but the valves themselves were only moderately coated with intake goo. Of course, they look brand new now that they've been blasted clean with a walnut media. I shared these pictures on Instagram and Facebook, and that had people wanting to know my secrets to maintaining a clean intake. The truth is, I don't know if my habits have helped to keep my intake clean or if I'm just lucky. But here are my secrets. First and foremost, I always drive gently until the oil is warm to at least 180 degrees. Sure, there are some mornings when I really want to stomp on that accelerator, maybe to beat a changing traffic light, but I resist that urge at nearly all costs. Next, I always refuel with top-tier fuels. If you don't know what a top-tier fuel is, they can often be found at the big name stations. Shell, ExxonMobil, and BP top my list. Chevron comes to mind as well. Search for others on the internet. And finally, I tend to wonder if my routine towing has done anything to help maintain the intake, perhaps by way of extended increase of intake temperatures. Some might consider this to be a long-term Italian tune-up. The YouTube channel Cars with Cocktails recently discussed fouled intake valves and common mitigation tactics. In short, the Italian tune-up doesn't help. So either top-tier fuels, which are recommended by Volkswagen, and proper warm-ups get the credit, or maybe I'm just lucky. I was also asked if I use a catch can. Nope, I've never used one of those. I'm not a firm believer in them. Cars with Cocktails also discuss those. Check out that video up here if you want to see more. And of course, everyone wants to know how much the cleaning job costs. And I don't usually provide specific pricing in my videos since it varies from region to region. But I'll say that budgeting around $500 will get you in the ballpark. Now this is the part where do-it-yourselfers will comment that I've been robbed, and those living in high cost of living areas will comment that I got off easy. Either way, I was really glad to have someone with the experience, tools, and time to take this job for me. As I said, I'm preparing for a long, short notice road trip, so I didn't need the hassle of doing this myself. For me, it was money well spent. While the car was in the shop, I had them inspect the suspension, brakes, and anything else that could be a concern before a long road trip. I was surprised. Everything looked great. No leaking from the struts, plenty of meat left on the brake pads. Can you believe I'm still on the original brakes and suspension after 106,000 miles? All I've done to maintain those systems is the brake fluid flush at the 3-year mark. The car will be due for an inspection when I return from this road trip, so let's see if anything needs attention by then. Next, I will tell you about my upcoming road trip, why I'm driving instead of flying, what I've done to prepare the car, and where I expect to visit along the way. I hope you'll join me for that journey. Until then, take care.